gentlemen, thank you guys for joining me for another video. It is week 17, so that means if you are watching this, you probably made it to one of your championship games, so congratulations to you. In this video, I'm going to go over the top 32 options at wide receiver. Try to give you guys the most useful information I was able to pull up that is going to help you make the best decisions to go and take home that title. If you are new to the channel, thanks so much for spending some time with us. Please consider liking the video first and foremost if you enjoy the content, and then subscribe as well. That keeps Relentless Press moving forward. We are on our way to our first 1,000 subscribers. You can be a part of that if you have not clicked that button already. I'm dropping content Monday to Saturday. I do over 10 videos every single week, so by subscribing, you ensure that you do not miss anything. And once fantasy season is over, Relentless Press is still going to be dropping tons of content weekly, so make sure you check back in often. I'm going to do updated ranking shorts for every single position, so on Saturday, check in. If you got 5 extra minutes, you can see all of my updated rankings. These take into account all the changes that we see throughout the week. And with that done, let's hop into week 17's wide receiver rankings. At the top spot, seems like he has owned it for a while, is Justin Jefferson. He continues his torrid pace in one of the best seasons that we have seen from a receiver. Jet has at least 15 targets and 123 yards in 3 straight games, all of them being top 3 finishes. Jefferson has at least one more big game left in him to help propel you to a title. At 2, it is CeeDee Lamb. He gets Tennessee. I think he smashes again in the best matchup that owners could hope for. Lamb is going to threaten Jet for the #1 overall finish here, trying to get back-to-back after destroying the Eagles in week 16. My third ranked wideout is Ja'Marr Chase. He held his own in a tough matchup last week against New England. He racked up 79 yards on 11 targets. He's averaging 13 looks over his last 3 games. I think he should see close to that, if not more, in what projects to be a shootout with the Buffalo Bills. The Bengals are on fire offensively, and Chase will remain a key part of what they do on offense. To headline tier number 2, I have Stefon Diggs. He is in that same game against the Bengals. He's been a complete disaster over the last 3 weeks. He's finished as a wide receiver 57, 42, and he nosedived all the way down to 65 last week. He had only 2 targets. Following his lowest opportunity game of the entire season, Josh Allen is going to make a concerted effort to get his best playmaker the ball. I think you can count on that. At 5, and rounding it out, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. He continues to put up solid numbers, but it's now been 3 straight games where he has not seen a ceiling as Jared Goff continues to spread the ball around. I am not worried, and with the Bears allowing 11.4 yards per completion, 3rd most in the NFL, you should not be either. In at number 6 is Tyreek Hill. He gets downgraded with a move from Tua Tagovailoa to Teddy Two Gloves, but not enough to consider benching him with it all on the line. Hill's abilities supersede the quarterback, and I expect him to be peppered heavily underneath as Miami tries to let his speed and elusiveness carry them in a must-win game. In at number 7, it is A.J. Brown. He was able to rack up 100 yards once again for the 2nd straight game. Believe it or not, it was the first time all season long he's been able to do that. Nobody allows fewer yards per completion than New Orleans does over the last 3 weeks, so I don't think anything comes easy here. But I am betting on Brown's talent after Gardner Minshew was able to light up the sky against Dallas. My 8th ranked player is also at the top of tier number 3. It is T. Higgins, who paid off my faith in him last week with a monster top 5 performance. He put up 128 yards and a tutty. He's got scores now in 4 straight games, and Joe Burrow is playing on another level, so that makes Higgy a top option once again. Up next at number 9 is Keenan Allen. He's been one of the most consistent wideouts in fantasy since he returned from injury. He's at least 86 yards or a touchdown in 6 straight. He's also seen 14 looks in 3 out of his last 4 games, and the Rams are a top 12 matchup. Allen is a lock for a top 15 finish. To round out my top 10, it is DeAndre Hopkins. He probably had the worst output of his career against Tampa. He caught just a single ball on 10 looks against the Bucks. Now, I suppose that because Trace McSorley was the quarterback, that's not exactly surprising, but I am not about to doubt Nuke against a Falcons squad that's giving up over 29 points a game to the position, 9th most in the NFL. With that matchup, he is going to bounce back. To number 11, it is DK Metcalf. He is at the top of my 4th tier. He's caught 7 of 9 balls in back-to-back games, but he has just 21 total fantasy points to show for it while dealing with a plummeting Geno Smith. The Jets allow the second fewest points to the position, so we need to temper expectations and hope that Metcalf uses his size and athletic ability to make a big play. The last wide receiver one I have in week 17 is Jaylen Waddle. He is officially back and looking to be at 100% after coming off of a bye week struggling. The Penguin has 257 yards and a pair of scores in the last 2, both of them being top 7 finishes. Obviously, I don't like the quarterback change, but just like Tyreek Hill, Waddle has the skill set to do more than just weather the storm. Mike Williams is my lucky number 13. He's been fine over the last 2 weeks, but certainly not producing as owners would have hoped. But I do like his chances here for a big finish. Williams has not had a single 3-game stretch without a wide receiver 1 finish all season long. I do not think that he's about to start now. At the top of tier 5, Chris Godwin sits. He saw double-digit looks once again, and they're going to serve him better than they did last week against the Panthers here. You can book it. Carolina allows the 8th most points per game to the position. Even if he does not have a very high ceiling, I'm going to take the safety that he provides with a decent chance at hitting pay dirt. DeVonta Smith is in at 15. He absolutely destroyed the Cowboys, posting the overall wide receiver 2 finish while tying a season high for him with 12 targets. Now, clearly, Gardner Minshew enjoys getting him the ball, and with 4 straight top 17 finishes for Smith, he has earned a set-it-and-forget-it status in your championship. Moving on to 16, it is Garrett Wilson. He travels to Seattle. He avoids the bench because, thank the maker, Mike White is back. Wilson has crushed whenever the two have had the opportunity to play together, and this perceived poor matchup is deceiving. The Hawks have allowed 11.4 yards per completion over their last 3 games. That is 7th highest in the league. Tier 6 starts with Jeudy. He posted yet another productive game with a massive boost from garbage time. There is a really good chance that we see the exact same thing here against the Chiefs. And since it looks like Jeudy has taken over the wide receiver 1 job in Denver, he is the one who is going to benefit the most. He's got 65 yards in 4 straight games, so there is 0 reason to bench him. My 18th ranked receiver is DJ Moore. He took advantage of a great matchup last week against Detroit, and he now has 3 top 13 finishes in his last 4 weeks, scoring in each one of those. I doubt the Panthers are able to move the ball on the ground against the Bucks, and that means that Moore is going to see a ton of looks. Tampa has allowed 6 passing scores over their last 3. That is 5th most in the NFL in case you need an extra push. To 19, Amari Cooper is there. He is a little hard to trust right now. I do get that because he hasn't cracked the top 30 in a month, but he was extremely close to a tutty last week, and he would have scored if the field conditions had not been absolute garbage. The Browns are likely to struggle running the ball against a really good top 5 Washington front 7, so I think the volume is going to help carry Cooper to a solid day. To round out my top 20, it's the combination of Allen Lazard and Christian Watson. They get the matchup with Minnesota at home. Both of these guys are going to be solid options in a must-win game for the Pack. Minnesota gives out fantasy points to opposing wide receivers basically for free. So if you take a shot, you got to do it on the upside here. If Christian Watson is unable to go, just go ahead and sub in Romeo Doubs. I am going to play whichever top 2 pass catchers the Packers roll out. At tier 7, to start it off, is Terry McLaurin. He overcame a tough matchup last week with the 49ers, and he did score for the second time in the last 3 games. I do like him a lot less now that they've moved back to Carson Wentz, but he's been solid enough over the last couple of games to control his fate as a wide receiver 2. His risk rises a little bit more here because the Browns surrender the 8th fewest points per game to the position. Free falling down my rankings and probably not going to make me very popular, but I have Davante Adams at 22. He gets a massive downgrade because of the unexpected move away from Derek Carr, and if you want to bench him altogether due to the lack of recent production and the Jared Stidham effect here, I am not against it. When we tack on the fact that this brutal matchup with the 49ers, a team that allows just 9.3 yards per completion, 4th best in the league, the old adage of always playing your stud just does not seem right here. To 23, it is DJ Chark, who deserves a spot in your lineups. He's posted 94 yards or more in 3 out of his last 4 games. The Godfather is playing some of the best football of his career at the moment, and the Lions need a win in the worst way. You go to your guys that have been producing in those situations, and Chark has been that for Detroit. 24 is Christian Kirk. He travels to Houston. He's been hot and cold over the last month, and it is an on week if you buy into that sort of thing. Houston has been great against wideouts all year long, though. They held Kirk to just 1 catch on 3 targets for a measly 11 yards the last time these 2 teams met up. He does make the cut because Trevor Lawrence has been good enough to overcome the poor matchup. At the top of tier 8 is Drake London, who is likely a surprise in my top 25, but he shouldn't be. London has 261 yards over the last 3 weeks after totaling just 224 yards combined in the 9 weeks prior, so there is clearly something working between him and Desmond Ridder. Now, Arizona has allowed bottom 5 numbers in both yards per completion and passing touchdowns over their last 3 games, so I am betting on the talent here, and you should too if you are looking for a solid flex. To 26, it is Diontae Johnson. He is as safe a play as it gets this deep in my rankings. He has 60 yards or more in 4 straight games. He's also averaging 9 targets per in that span. He is not going to win you your week, but he certainly won't lose it for you. At 27, it is JuJu Smith-Schuster. He was not needed against the Seahawks, and he probably won't be here against Denver either. But he's seen 10 targets or more in 2 out of his last 3 games, and he is always a threat to score with the Chiefs. JuJu is a boom or bust bet, but in week 14 against this Broncos squad, he exploded for 9 catches, 74 yards, and a tutty. At 28, I have the Giants trio, Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, and Richie James Jr. They're at home against Indianapolis. All 3 of them were productive against Minnesota, and at least one of them is going to score against the dumpster fire Colts team that's allowed 7 touchdowns through the air over the last 3, most in the NFL. They are listed in order of preference here, but your guess is as good as mine as to which one gets the lion's share of the touches. If we are looking at what happened last week, Hodgins and Richie James Jr. both had over 10 targets. Darius Slayton had 6 of them. Tier 9 starts with Jahan Dotson. He continues to put up solid numbers. He scored in 3 straight games as well, posting top 18 finishes in all of them. I think he is a solid dart throw. He also has the volume and the yardage to keep you afloat if he breaks his scoring streak against the Browns. Speaking of Browns, Marquise is in at 30. He has not hit for owners in 3 straight games, but we know that he has big playability, and that works because the Falcons are allowing 13.8 yards per completion over their last 3. That number is second most in the NFL. Hollywood is certainly a gamble, but he is a good bet if you want the upside opportunity. Mike Evans is my 31st ranked wideout. He has not finished at this spot or higher in an amazing 7 straight weeks, so the only real reason to consider him is a gut feeling that somehow he's going to turn it around. The matchup here does allow opportunity to do that, but that has not been enough for Big Mike in almost 2 months, so only roll the dice if you're feeling lucky, but make sure you go in with 0 expectations. The last wide receiver I am looking at is Brandon Aiyuk. He travels to Vegas. He has fallen down pretty hard since his mid-season outburst, but the 49ers continue to find success through the air with Brock Purdy, and I have a feeling that it is Aiyuk who gets his turn after George Kittle has dominated over the last 2 weeks. The Raiders are clearly folding, so any piece in this offense is worth a start and should find some success. A couple of players that just missed the cut include Gabe Davis traveling to Cincinnati, George Pickens against Baltimore on the road, Romeo Doubs, and that is if Christian Watson does not go, Courtland Sutton in a good matchup with the Chiefs, Jacoby Myers against Miami, and finally Brandon Cooks at home against Jacksonville. That'll do it for today's video. Really hope you learned something from the content and that it helps you to make the best decisions you possibly can to go out and get a dub. If you have any questions or any comments, please drop them down below. I love to be able to get back to you. I usually respond in a pretty short amount of time, and I often give a very detailed response as well, trying to give you the whys behind what I am telling you. If you enjoyed the video today, crush that like button for me and subscribe to the channel. That way you do not miss a thing. To all of my current subscribers out there, thank you, thank you, thank you. I could not and would not do it without you guys. Good luck this week and bring home a championship for the RP fam. This is Relentless Press. I am your host, Abraham Opatz, and I will see you next time.